think first that how we even communicate risk is important. So, when I first returned back to Nigeria, I had this challenge of, you're having a conversation and someone says the risk is this and the risk is that. And I used to always wonder, how do you sit down in your White Castle without any exercise, have any sense for what the risk of something is? And not to appear arrogant, I had to really engage people and understand. So where has this come from? This thinking when we say that, credit risk or finance risk, the risk of FX or what have you. And my conclusion, so actually my graduate study is actually not in security or anything technical, it's actually in communication. And I recognize, I think, where we start being confused is even how we communicate what risk is. Because what we're really referring to are threats, right? So these events or circumstances that have any kind of adverse potential outcome. Whereas risk is an assessment, a calculation of saying what's the likelihood this threat would occur and what's the potential impact. Now it's basic, I get it, I know everyone here gets that. But what actually tends to happen is that we always say the risk of this and the risk of that. And so maybe perhaps that contributes to why we don't respond to it properly. It'd be like calling me Wale, right? If you look at me and say Wale, I won't respond, right? Or I may not respond in the manner you expect. You call him Osioke, right? But if you call me Osioke, and with all that Osioke actually means, right, I think it conveys a lot. It conveys something. So from my perspective, what I'm seeing as an even bigger challenge is how we communicate this matter. Because if what I'm encoding is not what it actually is, then what you understand is very different. I don't want to sound esoteric or philosophical, because it really is not. It'd be like me standing here and speaking a version of English that nobody understands. It will not make any sense, right? So I think that's one area that I find that I'm still passionate about. My colleagues at the Institute can attest to this, at NIBS as well, that I've always pushed for that. We need to change how we communicate risk so we can actually understand it. Now, to the question about other areas where I think, other areas of threats, if you will, that perhaps hasn't been mentioned. One that stands out for me is the low skill level we have in the country, right? So in this room, we do not represent Nigeria or the mass of Nigeria. You're really in the top 10%, right? The mass of Nigeria for me and for all of us is my electrician who comes to my house to make a repair. And when I ask him or her, in one case, explain to me what you did. The guy says, Oga, you're asking me about my work now. And I'm saying, no, I'm not challenging your competence. In fact, I'm challenging your competence. I'm just saying, explain to me, what have you done? Or the driver who I say, like 3 days ago, wants to start the car and the battery is dead. And I said, but I thought we agreed during your interview that since you're a graduate and can read and write, you would take the manual for the car, read the whole thing, including reading the maintenance schedule, so that when you go to the mechanic and you want to do oil, service, it isn't just oil change. You actually understand what happens at various intervals, whether it's 10,000 miles, 30,000 miles, or what have you. And that in that process, you will have come across that, at X thousand miles, I should change the battery, rather than wait until. So I'm giving these instances as examples of that low skill level. But it also translates into the corporate world as well. I conduct a lot of interviews. In fact, my first interviews, I questioned someone who graduated from a good university in Nigeria in English. When I'm reading the resume, I'm going, but this is not English. It's not connecting with what you told me you've studied, right? Yeah. And sometimes my reaction to an individual like that seems as though you're believing the person, but I'm saying really that it's no different than the mechanic or the driver or the electrician who cannot explain to me what they've done. Or even among just risk professionals, many of whom I've challenged, how did you determine the risk is whatever it is? And they tell you some funny, I did this, did that. And you sit and say, that's just garbage. There's no logic behind it at all, right? But this individual would have risen through the ranks of the organization to become a chief risk officer, right? And again, it's not a belittling, but if we don't acknowledge, the facts of our environment, then we will continue to suffer it. So I think this issue of low skill level is a real big one. So even if you're a CRO, you're an MD of a company, and I've seen some of those examples too as well, or you're an accountant, the low skill level, the way that would translate, at that level is that you're an accountant because you've passed the exam, not because you're actually skilled. And some of my friends will attest to the fact I love the dictionary because English is not my father's language. And I check what does skill mean. And it's a lot more than just having knowledge about something, right? It's a lot more than just being able to pass an exam or even have proficiency in doing something. Because you can become proficient in a very bad and incompetent practice, but you won't become skilled. So I think this low skill level, whether it's at the artist's level or even at in boards and executives, I think is a major, major issue in our country today.
Thank you. I think that's very valid. The way I usually put it, I say water, water everywhere, but none to drink. We have so many people, 180 million people in Nigeria, but how many of those people, to Osieke's point, are actually skilled? And if we want to develop, given where we are in our development journey, we need the skills. We need the skills to develop. So whether it's an input into the planning, as was mentioned by Cyril, or an input into the execution of those plans, skills are really, really important.